The air hung thick and heavy, a salty brine clinging to every exposed surface. The sun, a molten coin in the hazy sky, beat down with relentless intensity. I squinted, the glare reflecting off the endless steel expanse stretching before me, a floating city of gray and purpose. The rhythmic clang of metal on metal, the low thrum of unseen engines, the shouts of men and women moving with practiced urgency, a symphony of controlled chaos. But beneath the surface, a current of anticipation, a held breath before the plunge. This wasn't just a ship, it was a leviathan, a symbol, a world unto itself. A world I was about to enter. The heat shimmered off the flight deck, distorting the horizon. Phantom jets danced in the air, mirages fueled by the sheer power radiating from the vessel. I could feel it in my bones, a low hum vibrating through the soles of my boots. It was the energy of thousands of lives, of unimaginable technology, of a mission both vital and terrifyingly abstract. A mission I was about to witness, to document, to try and understand. But understanding felt impossible. It was like trying to grasp the ocean in a teacup, to contain the fury of a storm in a glass jar. All I could do was stand there, on the precipice, and hope to capture a fragment of its immensity. My hand trembled slightly as I reached out to touch the cold, unforgiving steel of the hull. It was a barrier, a gateway to a world both alien and familiar. A world of precision and grit, of sacrifice and camaraderie. A world forged in the fires of ambition and tempered by the constant threat of the unknown. What secrets did this floating fortress hold? What stories would its steel skin whisper if I listened closely enough? I took a deep breath, the salty air filling my lungs, and stepped across the threshold. The metallic tang of the air inside hit me like a physical blow, a stark contrast to the open sea. The corridors, narrow and labyrinthine, seemed to stretch on forever, a maze of pipes and wires and warning signs. Each turn revealed another identical stretch, another echo of the same metallic clang, the same urgent footsteps. It was a world stripped bare of comfort, of pretense. A world where every inch was designed for efficiency, for survival. It felt less like a ship and more like the inside of a machine, a complex and unforgiving mechanism designed for a single, unwavering purpose. I felt a pang of unease, a sense of being swallowed whole by its immensity. But then I saw him. He was leaning against a bulkhead, his face etched with the lines of countless sunrises and sunsets at sea. His uniform, faded and worn, spoke of years of service, of dedication to something larger than himself. His eyes, though, were what caught my attention. They were the color of the deep ocean, calm on the surface but hinting at the turbulent depths below. He smiled, a slow, genuine smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes, and the unease began to dissipate. This wasn't just a machine, it was a home. And he was one of its keepers. His name was Chief Miller, and he'd served on this carrier, the USS Colossus, for over 20 years. He'd seen wars come and go, watched young men and women grow into seasoned professionals, and witnessed the relentless evolution of technology transform the ship itself. He spoke of her with a reverence usually reserved for cathedrals, describing her as a living, breathing entity, a force of nature in her own right. He remembered her maiden voyage, the raw power she exuded as she sliced through the waves for the first time. He recalled the camaraderie forged in the face of danger, the unbreakable bonds that tied the crew together. He told me about the time a rogue wave crashed over the flight deck, nearly sweeping a young sailor overboard. How the quick thinking of a fellow crew member, a split-second decision, saved his life. He spoke of the quiet moments, the sunsets shared on the open sea, the laughter echoing through the mess hall. He described the ship as a microcosm of the world, a place where people from all walks of life came together to serve a common purpose. He painted a picture of a community, a family bound by shared experience and unwavering loyalty. And then he told me about his grandfather, a shipwright who helped build the Colossus in the first place. He spoke of the pride his grandfather felt, the dedication he poured into every weld, every rivet. He said that his grandfather's spirit was still aboard, woven into the very fabric of the ship. It was a connection across generations, a legacy of service that ran deep in his blood. As he spoke, I began to see the ship in a new light. It wasn't just a machine, it was a vessel of history, a testament to human ingenuity and unwavering dedication. It was a story waiting to be told, and I was here to listen. The storm hit during our third week at sea. Not the kind you see coming on radar, but a squall of whispers, accusations flung like knives in the mess hall. It started small, a missing ration here, a toolbox gone there. Petty thefts, easily dismissed. But then Petty Officer Davies, a man I'd shared countless smokes with on the flight deck, accused Miller of stealing his lucky lighter. Miller, a gentle giant who wouldn't hurt a fly, denied it vehemently. The air thickened with suspicion, a miasma that clung to the bulkheads and seeped into our bunks. I tried to stay out of it, focused on my duties. But the tension was a living thing, feeding on our isolation, our confinement within the steel behemoth. Then came the anonymous notes, slipped under doors, scrawled on bathroom mirrors. Accusations escalated: sabotage, dereliction of duty, even treason. The captain ordered a lockdown, every compartment searched, every man interrogated. The ship felt like a pressure cooker, the needle edging closer to the red. The climax came during a fire drill, ironically. We were all at our stations, the alarms blaring, the chaos simulated. But when the order came to shut down Reactor 2, Miller hesitated. Just a fraction of a second, but enough. Davies, standing beside him, screamed, "Traitor! You're trying to kill us all!" He lunged at Miller, tackling him to the ground. The fight was brutal, fueled by weeks of pent-up paranoia and mistrust. Other men joined in, a swirling mass of fists and curses. I tried to pull them apart, but I was shoved aside, my head cracking against a valve. When I came to, the fighting had stopped. Miller was gone, locked in the brig. Davies stood over him, chest heaving, eyes wild with a strange mixture of triumph and regret. The air was thick with the metallic tang of blood, the acrid smell of fear. The captain arrived, his face a mask of fury. He ordered an immediate investigation, promising to bring the perpetrators to justice. But the damage was done. Something had broken on that ship, a fragile trust that could never be repaired. The fire drill was forgotten, the simulated danger replaced by a real, festering wound. The storm had passed, but it had left a trail of wreckage in its wake. Miller was quietly transferred off the ship at the next port. Davies received a reprimand, but he remained a pariah among us. The rest of us just tried to forget, to bury the memory of that day beneath layers of routine and duty. But the taste of that fear, the echo of those screams, lingered in the air, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. Now, years later, the smell of ozone still triggers a cold sweat. The hum of machinery, the clang of metal, the rhythmic pulse of the engines, they all transport me back to the claustrophobic confines of that ship, to the suffocating atmosphere of suspicion and betrayal. I avoid crowds, preferring the solitude of my small apartment. The faces of strangers seem to blur into the accusing eyes of Davies, the silent judgment of the crew. Sleep offers no escape. Nightmares replay the fight in the reactor room, the sickening thud of fists on flesh, the desperate cries of Miller. I wake up gasping for air, my heart pounding, the phantom pain in my head a constant ache. The VA prescribed medication, but it only dulls the edges, muffling the memories without erasing them. They say time heals all wounds, but this one festers, a constant reminder of my failure. I couldn't stop the fight. I couldn't protect Miller. I couldn't prevent the darkness from consuming us all. My wife, Sarah, tries to understand, but I can't explain it to her. How can I describe the feeling of being trapped in a metal box with hundreds of men, all teetering on the edge of madness? How can I convey the weight of that responsibility, the crushing pressure of knowing that one wrong move could have catastrophic consequences? She sees the scars on my body, the shrapnel wounds from a training exercise gone wrong, but she can't see the deeper wounds, the ones that fester beneath the surface. Sometimes, I find myself drawn to the ocean. I stand on the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore, listening to the mournful cry of the gulls. The vastness of the sea offers a sense of perspective, a reminder that I am just a small speck in the grand scheme of things. But it also evokes a sense of longing, a yearning for the simplicity of those early days before the storm hit, before the trust was broken. I haven't spoken to Miller since he left the ship. I don't know where he is, what he's doing. I often wonder if he thinks about that day, if he carries the same burden of guilt and regret. I imagine him living a quiet life, far away from the sea, surrounded by people who love and trust him. I hope he's found some measure of peace, some way to escape the shadows of the past. The nightmares come less frequently now, the panic attacks less intense. But the scars remain, etched into my soul like the barnacles that cling to the hull of a ship. I am a survivor, but I am also a casualty. The war may be over, but the battle rages on within me, a constant struggle to reconcile the man I was with the man I am. And sometimes, late at night, when the silence is deafening, I can still hear the echo of those screams, the taste of that fear, the haunting reminder of the day the world's largest nuclear aircraft carrier became a prison. The hangar bay, once a cavern of roaring engines and frantic activity, now stood silent, expectant. Dust motes danced in the shafts of pale sunlight that pierced through the open bay doors, illuminating the faces gathered below. Sarah stood at the edge of the crowd, the salty air stinging her eyes. The Admiral, his face etched with a solemn weariness, stepped forward. His voice, amplified by the ship's intercom, resonated with a quiet power. "Today," he began, his gaze sweeping across the assembled crew, "we lay to rest not just a pilot, but a piece of ourselves. Commander Alex Ryder was more than a name, more than a call sign. He was the embodiment of courage, of sacrifice, of the unwavering spirit that binds us together as sailors." He paused, the silence amplifying the weight of his words. "The data retrieved from his final flight, it tells a story. A story of calculated risk, of selfless devotion. He knew the odds. He knew the danger. And he pressed on, ensuring the safety of this ship, of all of you, by diverting that anomaly away from us." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth, her heart pounding against her ribs. The anomaly. Alex had known. He had chosen. The Admiral continued, his voice thick with emotion. Commander Ryder discovered that the anomalies were not random. They were attracted to sources of immense energy. Our ship. He theorized that by drawing the anomaly towards himself, towards a remote area, he could dissipate its energy before it reached us. He looked down, a flicker of pain crossing his face. He was right. He saved us all. A lone tear traced a path down Sarah's cheek. The truth hung heavy in the air, a suffocating blanket of grief and admiration. Alex hadn't just died in the line of duty, he had orchestrated his own sacrifice, a desperate gamble to protect the lives of thousands. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the flight deck, Sarah stood alone, gazing out at the endless expanse of the ocean. The sea was calm, a mirror reflecting the fiery hues of the sunset. In her hand she held a small, tarnished compass, a gift from Alex on their first deployment together. He had told her it would always point her home. She opened the compass, her fingers tracing the inscription on the inside. Ad astra per aspera. To the stars through hardship. It was their motto, their shared aspiration. A figure approached, silhouetted against the dying light. It was Captain Miller. He stopped beside her, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "He was a good man, Sarah," Miller said, his voice low and respectful. "The best of us." Sarah nodded, unable to speak. The grief was a physical ache, a constant reminder of her loss. "He left something for you," Miller continued, handing her a small, sealed envelope. "He asked me to give it to you, when the time was right." Sarah took the envelope, her fingers trembling. She recognized Alex's handwriting. With hesitant fingers, she tore it open and unfolded the single sheet of paper. The words were simple, but they resonated with a profound depth. "Sarah, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it back. Don't mourn me. Celebrate the life we shared, the adventures we had. Remember the stars we chased. And know this, my love, Even in the darkest night, there is always light. Find it. Embrace it. And let it guide you home. I will be waiting for you among the stars. Forever yours, Alex. Tears streamed down Sarah's face, blurring the ink on the page. She clutched the letter to her chest, her heart aching with a mixture of grief and love. The sunset deepened, painting the sky in vibrant shades of orange, purple, and gold. It was a breathtaking spectacle, a reminder of the beauty that still existed in the world, even in the face of unimaginable loss. She closed her eyes, picturing Alex's face, his smile, his unwavering gaze. She would remember him, not as a fallen hero, but as a man who lived life to the fullest, who loved fiercely, and who sacrificed everything for the sake of others. She would honor his memory by continuing to chase her own stars, by finding the light in the darkness, and by living a life worthy of his sacrifice. As the last rays of sunlight faded into the night, Sarah opened her eyes and looked up at the sky. A single star twinkled brightly in the distance, a beacon in the vast darkness. She smiled, a tear tracing a path down her cheek. Ad Astra, she whispered, her voice filled with a newfound resolve. Ad Astra per aspera. The ship, the world's largest nuclear aircraft carrier, turned towards home, carrying its crew, its memories, and the legacy of a hero who had dared to reach for the stars, even in the face of death. The journey was far from over, but they would carry on, guided by the light of his sacrifice, forever bound together by the shared experience of loss and the unwavering hope for a brighter future. The carrier sailed on, a silent testament to the courage, sacrifice, and enduring spirit of humanity, a floating city of steel and dreams, forever etched with the memory of Commander Alex Ryder, the man who had saved them all.